They say some connections transcend logic. Dr. Aisling Bexley, a renowned Irish archaeologist, believed only in what she could excavate and prove. Then she met Zahara Okonkwo, a Nigerian-British conservationist whose passion burned brighter than the African sun. Their first encounter was a collision, literally. Aisling's jeep crashed into Zahara's research camp in the Serengeti, and in the chaos of bent metal and scattered equipment, their eyes met. Neither believed in love at first sight. But some embers ignite without permission, and some flames refuse to die, no matter how many oceans, careers, or fears try to extinguish them. I've spent 15 years digging through the Earth's secrets, but nothing prepared me for the moment I looked up from the wreckage of my jeep and saw her. Zahara Okonkwo stood silhouetted against the Tanzanian sunset, arms crossed, fury radiating from every inch of her 5'9" frame. Her dark skin gleamed with sweat, her natural hair pulled back in a thick bun that somehow looked both practical and regal. She wore khaki field pants and a tank top that showed muscular shoulders, and her eyes, God, her eyes, were the color of smoky quartz, sharp and assessing. "Do you have any idea what you've just destroyed?" Her British accent was crisp, controlled, but I could hear the tremor of rage underneath. I climbed out of the jeep, checking myself for injuries. Miraculously, nothing but my pride was hurt. "I'm Dr. Aisling Bexley, my GPS—" "I don't care if you're the Queen of England," she cut me off, gesturing to the demolished equipment scattered across her campsite. "That was 3 months of migration tracking data. 3 months! Do you understand what that means?" I did. I was a field archaeologist. I understood the devastation of lost research better than most. "I'm so sorry. Truly. The road wasn't marked, and I was trying to reach the Olduvai excavation site before nightfall." "Well, congratulations! You've arrived at the wrong camp and destroyed my life's work in the process." She turned away, and I watched her shoulders shake. Not with anger, I realized with horror, but with barely suppressed tears. Something in my chest cracked. I'd caused this. This brilliant, passionate woman was fighting not to cry because of my carelessness. "Let me help," I said quietly. "I have funding, connections. Whatever it takes to restore your research, I'll do it." She spun back to face me, and this time I saw past the anger to the exhaustion beneath. She had dark circles under her eyes, dirt under her fingernails, the weathered look of someone who'd been living in the field for months. Beautiful and fierce and completely undone. "You can't restore time," she said, but her voice had lost its edge. "Some things, once broken, stay broken." We stood there in the fading light, surrounded by the wreckage I'd caused, and I felt something shift in the air between us. Recognition, maybe, or the beginning of something I didn't have words for yet. "I'm Zahara," she said finally, extending a hand. "Dr. Zahara Okonkwo, wildlife conservationist, and apparently your latest victim." Her hand was warm and calloused when I shook it, and I held on perhaps a moment too long. "Aisling, and I promise you, I'm going to make this right." She looked at me with those smoky quartz eyes, and something in her expression softened. "You can start by helping me salvage what's left. Then we'll talk about how you're going to fund the next 3 months of my research." I should have been offended by her presumption. Instead, I found myself smiling. "Deal." As we worked side by side in the gathering darkness, collecting scattered equipment and broken GPS collars, I kept stealing glances at her, the way she moved with purpose and grace, the way she muttered to herself in what I later learned was Igbo when something frustrated her, the way the lamplight caught the angles of her face. I didn't believe in fate. I believed in carbon dating and stratigraphic layers and empirical evidence. But that night, kneeling in the Tanzanian dirt beside a woman I'd just met, I felt something ancient and undeniable ignite in my chest. Some embers don't ask permission before they start to burn. Zahara's camp became my penance and, unexpectedly, my paradise. I stayed to help restore her research, telling myself it was guilt and professional responsibility. I was lying. Every morning, I woke to the sound of her voice briefing her team in that crisp British accent that somehow never lost its Nigerian musicality. Every evening, we sat by the campfire, ostensibly discussing research but actually trading stories about our lives. "Why archaeology?" she asked one night, her face illuminated by firelight. "My grandmother was from County Cork," I said, surprised by my own honesty. "She used to tell me stories about the ancient Celts, about women warriors and druids. I wanted to prove those women existed, that they mattered." Zahara smiled, and it transformed her entire face. "So you dig up the past to validate women's futures?" "Something like that. What about you? Why conservation?" Her expression darkened. "I grew up in Lagos, then moved to London when I was 12. I watched my home country's wildlife disappear piece by piece, poaching, habitat loss, climate change. Someone had to fight back." She paused. "My parents thought I was crazy. They wanted me to be a doctor or lawyer. Instead, I chose to live in tents and track elephants." "Sounds like we're both disappointing our families," I said. "Yours too?" I laughed bitterly. "My mother still asks when I'm going to settle down with a nice man and stop playing in the dirt. She doesn't understand that this—" I gestured to the vast darkness around us. "This is where I belong." Zahara reached across the space between us and took my hand. It was casual, friendly, but electricity shot up my arm at her touch. "I understand," she said softly, "more than you know." Our eyes met, and I saw my own loneliness reflected back at me. Two women who'd chosen passion over convention, purpose over comfort, solitude over settling. "Aisling," she said, my name sounding like music in her accent. "Can I ask you something personal?" My heart hammered. "Of course. Have you ever—" She paused, struggling for words in a way I'd never seen from her. "I noticed you don't mention a partner. I don't mean to pry, but I'm a lesbian," I said, the word easier than it used to be, but still carrying weight. "Out to my colleagues, but not to my family. It's complicated." Relief flooded her face. "Thank God, I thought I was reading signals that weren't there. I've known I preferred women since university, but I've never— My family is traditional Nigerian. Coming out would mean losing them entirely." We sat in silence, hands still joined, the magnitude of what we'd just shared settling around us like morning mist. "This is complicated," I whispered. "Impossibly," she agreed. "I'm here for 6 more months. You're leaving in 2 weeks. We live on different continents. We work in completely different fields. We just met because I destroyed your research. You're Irish and I'm Nigerian British. Our families would never understand." "This is a terrible idea," I said. "Absolutely terrible," she agreed. Then she leaned forward and kissed me. Her lips were soft and sure, tasting of campfire smoke and coffee. I kissed her back with 15 years of loneliness and longing, pulling her closer until there was no space between us. We broke apart, breathing hard, foreheads pressed together. "We can't," I said. "I know," she whispered. "But we did anyway." That night, in her tent under the African stars, we learned each other's bodies with the kind of desperate passion that comes from knowing something is both perfect and impossible. Afterward, lying tangled in her sleeping bag, she traced patterns on my bare shoulder. "What are we doing, Aisling?" "Something incredibly stupid," I admitted. "Or maybe the smartest thing I've ever done. I haven't decided yet." She laughed, the sound rich and full. 2 weeks?" 2 weeks, I confirmed. Neither of us said what we both knew: 2 weeks would never be enough. Leaving Zahara was like leaving part of myself in the Serengeti. We promised to stay in touch, to visit, to make it work somehow. We meant every word, and we both knew we were lying. Back in Dublin, I threw myself into work at Trinity College, cataloging artifacts and preparing for my next excavation. My colleagues noticed the change in me, the distraction, the way I checked my phone obsessively, the smile that appeared whenever I saw her name. We video called almost every night. I'd wake at 3 a.m. Irish time to catch her before she headed into the field. She'd stay up past midnight in Tanzania to hear about my day. We made it work for 3 months. Then reality set in. I got the grant, she told me one night, her face grainy on my laptop screen. Full funding for a 5-year elephant migration study. It's everything I've dreamed of, Aisling. That's incredible, I said, my heart sinking even as I smiled. 5 years in Tanzania, 5 years of video calls and time differences and living half a life. There's something else, she said carefully. My parents want to visit. They're finally accepting my work, and they want to see the research camp. I can't. She paused, and I saw the pain in her eyes. I can't tell them about us. Not yet. Maybe not ever. The words shouldn't have hurt as much as they did. I'd known from the beginning that this was complicated, but hearing her say it, seeing the choice she was making, cut deeper than I expected. I understand, I said, and I did. I'd made the same choice with my own family. Do you? Her voice was sharp. Do you really? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're relieved to have an excuse to keep me at arm's length. That's not fair, isn't it? You haven't told anyone about us either. Not your colleagues, not your friends. I'm your dirty little secret, just like you're mine. The truth of her words landed like a blow. Zahara, I have to go, she said abruptly. Early morning tomorrow. The screen went black, and I sat in my empty flat, surrounded by artifacts from civilizations that had turned to dust, wondering if we were doomed to the same fate. We didn't talk for a week, then 2. The silence stretched between us like an ocean, and I told myself it was for the best. We'd been foolish to think this could work. Better to end it now before we hurt each other more. Then, on a gray Dublin morning, my phone rang. Aisling. Her voice was rough, like she'd been crying. My father died. Heart attack. I'm flying to Lagos tonight. Oh God, Zahara, I'm so sorry. I need you, she whispered. I know I don't have the right to ask, but I can't do this alone. I can't go home and pretend to be someone I'm not, and I can't. I just need you. I didn't think. Send me the funeral details, I'll be there. You'd come to Lagos for me? I'd come to the end of the earth for you, I said, finally admitting what I'd been denying for months. I love you, Zahara. I am in love with you, and I'm tired of pretending this is just a fling or a phase or something we can walk away from. She sobbed once, sharp and broken. I love you too. God help me, I love you too. Lagos was chaos and color and heat that hit me like a wall when I stepped off the plane. Zahara met me at the airport, and we held each other in the arrivals hall, 2 women clinging together while the world rushed past. Thank you for coming, she whispered into my hair. Always, I promised. Her family home was beautiful, a sprawling compound in Ikoyi with high walls and bougainvillea cascading over gates. Her mother greeted us at the door, a regal woman in traditional Iro and buba, her face carved with fresh grief. Mama, this is Dr. Aisling Bexley, Zahara said carefully. A colleague. She came to pay her respects. I saw the moment her mother's eyes sharpened, saw her take in how close Zahara stood to me, how my hand hovered near the small of her back. In that instant, I knew she understood exactly what I was. Welcome to our home, she said coolly. The funeral was 3 days of ceremony and tradition, of relatives I didn't know offering condolences in languages I didn't speak. I stayed in a guest room, played the part of the concerned colleague, and watched Zahara slowly fracture under the weight of grief and expectations. On the third night, after everyone had finally left, she came to my room. "I can't do this," she said without preamble. "I can't keep hiding. My father is dead, and all I can think about is that he never knew the real me. He died thinking I was someone I'm not." I pulled her close. "What do you want to do?" "I want to introduce you as my girlfriend. I want to tell my mother that I'm in love with a woman. I want to stop living in the margins of my own life." "And if she rejects you?" "Then at least I'll know I was brave enough to try." She pulled back to look at me. "But I need to know, if I do this, if I blow up my entire family for this, are you in? Really in? Because I can't lose everything and you too." It was the moment of truth. I could feel the weight of it, not just our relationship, but our entire futures balancing on my answer. "I got a job offer last week," I said quietly. "Nairobi National Museum. They want me to head their new archaeology department. I turned it down because it felt too much like chasing you across continents." Hope blazed in her eyes. "And now?" "Now I'm thinking that maybe love is worth chasing. Maybe you're worth chasing. I'll take the job if you'll have me. We can make this work. Kenya and Tanzania aren't that far apart." She kissed me then, deep and desperate and full of promise. The next morning, we sat with her mother in the garden. Zahara held my hand, her grip tight enough to hurt. "Mama," she began in English, "I need to tell you something. Aisling isn't just my colleague. We're together. I'm in love with her." The silence stretched. Her mother's face was unreadable. "I have known this about you since you were 16, she said finally. "A mother knows her child." Zahara's hand went slack in mine. "What?" "Your father knew too. We discussed it many times. He wanted you to be happy even if he didn't understand." Her eyes filled with tears. "He would have wanted you to bring her to the funeral as family, not hide her away." Zahara broke then, sobbing into her hands. Her mother came around the table and held her, and eventually she pulled me into the embrace too. "Love is rare," she said to both of us. "Don't waste it on fear." 2 years later, I stand in our Nairobi apartment, watching Zahara present her elephant research to a conference via video call. She's magnificent, passionate, articulate, completely in her element. When she catches me watching, she winks, and my heart still skips. We split our time between Kenya and Tanzania, between archaeology digs and conservation camps. It's chaotic and exhausting, and nothing like the life I imagined. It's better. My mother still doesn't speak to me. Zahara's extended family whispers at gatherings, but her mother visits twice a year, and last month she brought photo albums from Zahara's childhood, wanting to share her daughter's history with the woman who loves her. Some nights we lie tangled together under mosquito netting, talking about the future, marriage maybe, when Ireland finally legalizes it, children perhaps, through adoption or IVF. Growing old together in this wild, beautiful continent we've both claimed as home. "Do you ever regret it?" Zahara asks sometimes. "Giving up Dublin, your family?" "Never," I tell her truthfully. "You were right that first night. Some things, once broken, stay broken, but some embers never die. They just wait for the right moment to become flame." She kisses me then, and I taste coffee and promise and forever. The past is my profession, but she is my future. And that's a discovery worth more than any artifact I've ever unearthed. What's your take on love that requires sacrifice? Have you ever had to choose between family expectations and your own happiness? Aisling and Zahara's story shows that sometimes the bravest thing we can do is choose ourselves and the people who truly see us. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if their journey moved you, let me know what kind of love story you'd like to hear next. Sometimes the embers we're most afraid of are the ones that light our way home.